You are working hard at your law firm. Your team is working hard. New clients are calling. Everybody is busy. Is it time to hire more help? Hi, I'm Sharon Christie, founder and CEO of Bold Women Lawyers. I'm a business coach and business strategist for women attorneys in solo and small law firms. I am a lawyer. I owned my own solo practice for 16 years. And before that, I was a partner in a small med mal and PI firm. So I know the struggle of deciding when is the right time to hire help. Here's some things that you want to consider in making that decision. And the first question to ask yourself is, why am I even thinking about this? Why am I even thinking about hiring a new team member? You want to clearly identify what's the source of the problem that's causing you to think this way. Maybe you feel overwhelmed. Maybe your team members feel overwhelmed. How do you know? How do you know that it really is overwhelmed? Well, what I found was I'd start to see things slipping through the cracks, or I or my team members would start making simple mistakes, but things that we know better. We know better than to do that or to make that mistake, but it was starting to happen. So that to me was a red flag that it was time to go much deeper and see, was it time to get more help? So you want to then look at, well, how can I really address the problem? Now, sometimes with team members, it might just be a question of reassigning the work because somehow the workload got unbalanced, and that certainly happens. You can reassign the work, and that will smooth everything out. Maybe it's a question of technology. Is there maybe a new or better or updated case management system that would be helpful? Maybe some new templates would be helpful. Perhaps outsourcing is what you need. Here's an example. You may have certain team members that are assigned to answer the phone. That's great. But they're so busy, they're not getting to it. They're not getting to it timely, or they're getting to it, but they're very frustrated when they answer the phone. Well, that's a sign that you need some help, but you can outsource that. You can get an answering service. Maybe the problem is you're overwhelmed with some administrative tasks that you, as the CEO of your law firm, do not need to be doing. You can delegate that. And perhaps you can delegate that to a virtual assistant. That's going to free up your time for client work. The same thing for your team. Maybe there is administrative work that you've assigned to them that really they're not best suited to do, but it worked at the time when you assigned it. Well, maybe now it's time to assign that to someone else. You might not necessarily need to bring in an employee. Maybe a virtual assistant would be perfectly qualified to do it. The third thing you want to think about is your team. You know your team. What are they telling you? Now, I can tell you that as I said before, when I saw that my team members were making simple mistakes they wouldn't normally make, and I knew that if their workloads were reduced, it wasn't going to happen, and everybody was working at full capacity, then I knew it was time to bring in help. I had a fabulous team working with me in my solo practice. They gave me 110% all the time, and they never wanted to admit that they needed help. Now, I knew that about them. So when I would sit down and talk about, how they were doing or things that were starting to fall through the cracks, I knew that they were not going to tell me I needed help unless I really pulled that out of them. And that was okay because I knew that. And I could say to them, listen, I know you're giving me more than 110%, but this is still happening. It's not a reflection of you. You're not bad at what you do. You're fabulous. But we need to figure out if it's a reflection of it's time to get some help. So that's where knowing my team very well played a huge role in the decision-making to bring in some help. The fourth thing you want to think about if you've made the decision that you do need help is to be very, very crystal clear on what it is you need from your new team member, whether it's going to be a full-time employee, a part-time employee, or someone who's virtual. Hiring a new team member is a big decision. And when you're feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, you may be tempted to just hire anybody to get some help in the door. But I'm going to tell you, if you haven't experienced this yet, you will. That's a huge mistake because you're not taking enough time to be clear to yourself, to your team, and to the new person that's coming in to help you exactly what it is you need done and what your expectations are and what the outcomes are that you expect. You need to be crystal clear on that. Sit down with your team, even if your team member is one part-time person. That's how I started. But sit down with that person and talk to him or her about what do we really specifically need help with. Let's come up with a job description that's going to work to actually help us out. You know, running a successful solo or small law firm is exciting and it's challenging and it sure is a lot of work, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel and you don't have to do it alone. For more business tips, go to my website at boldwomenlawyers.com and get a free copy of my Solo Success Guide. There's lots of other business tips in there. And if you know right now that you have challenges in your law practice that you want to address right away, and you're ready to do a deep dive about those problems to find solutions, then set up a free practice and profit audit with me. We'll look at what's going on with you in your law firm. And even if you decide not to work with me, I will guarantee that you will walk away from that meeting with at least one actionable item that you can implement right away. So go ahead and schedule it if you know that you've got challenges that you want to address right away. You can schedule that practice and profit audit at boldwomenlawyers.com. So I hope you found this helpful and good luck with your next hire.